Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited because today I am speaking with Dr. Lydie Louis. She worked on Wall Street. She's been a college professor. She has worked in the legal systems, financial systems, and she is on a mission to help more than 1 million businesses to last, which is really, really important in this economy, so that they can create legacies of wealth to pass on to their loved ones. Lydie, Dr. Lydie, she designs legal structures and financial systems for business owners who are disappointed that their business is not as successful as it should be. She works with business owners, and listen to this. She helps them protect their assets by using the power of the law. She helps them increase profits with tax-saving secrets, and she helps them build wealth by using the exact insurance instruments the rich use, so that she can help you build your business to last and to create a legacy of wealth for your loved ones. So, Dr. Lydie, I heard somebody describe you as I believe it was the business legacy architect. What does that mean?
Tammy, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you spending some time to help me help so many of our small businesses here in the U.S. Someone did describe me as that, and the first person that described me as the business legal architect was someone that looked at everything that I did and realized that I was designing things. I wasn't pulling things off the shelf and say, hey, you do this. This is the way it's always been done. I really listened to where the business owner wants to go, what they want to do, what they want to accomplish. And I would design, I would create the best structure for them to get there while protecting their assets, while growing their profits, and while creating wealth. And the business architect is designed to do all that just the way a regular architect will. Build me a house, build me a building, build me a bridge. How do you want that house to look? How do you want that building to look? How much weight do you want on that bridge? So what I do, I design specifically for the business owner depending on what their goals are. Are there some fundamental things that they need? Absolutely. But then there's different things depending on what they really want to accomplish that I am going to build into it. So it really reflects who they are and their lifetime goal. So I am proud to say that I'm a business legacy architect because once you build it, I tell everyone, what are you going to do with it? Our time on this planet is limited. Some live a little longer than most, but it's still a limited number. How about our loved ones, our kids in particular, our spouses, our siblings, our grandchildren? Would they benefit from the business that you've built? And the answer is absolutely. Think of every wealthy family, from the Rockefellers and from the Vanderbilts. They passed on that wealth. And I think small business owners need to recognize that we can do the same. We can pass on the wealth that we build in our businesses to our loved ones.
Well, I think every single person listening, they're all thinking, yes, I would like to leave a legacy, but so many business people, they struggle with the legal and financial systems involved. And one of the things that I'm hearing you say is it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard to leave this business legacy. So I want to talk about the myths that many of us believe. can we go over maybe about 3 myths or so? And so tell me, what is the biggest myth that people believe that just is not true?
True. There are a lot of myths that business owners believe, but if we were to talk about just 3 for now, the top 3 that come to mind for me is that business owners believe that they're going to be successful if they just have the customers. That if you just have people coming through the door, going to your website, that somehow will create success or wealth for you. The truth of it is that customers coming into your store look around, they shake things a little bit, they might ask you a question or two, and then they walk out the door. People going to your website might look around your website, oh, that's interesting, oh, okay, and then they click on to another website. So it's not the traffic flow that creates wealth in your business. It's not the marketing that creates wealth. Do you need it? Absolutely. But you do not need it as the singular main thing that you do. People want value. And so myth number 1 is just having traffic will make you successful. And if I were to say if there was a second myth that people truly believe that simply is not true, they think that they don't need to hire a business lawyer. And I say that not because that I myself am a business lawyer, it's because I know so many businesses that have failed. And the statistics that the Small Business Administration puts out every year is almost identical. Somewhere around 80, 85, 75% of businesses fail in their first 5 years. And when they look into why is that, it's not because people didn't have talent. It's not because people didn't work hard at their business. It's not because they didn't want to succeed. It's because they didn't understand the law that impacts their business. They didn't understand the role that taxes really play in their business. They didn't understand the role that insurance plays in their business. It's those hard, tough, not sexy decisions that had to be made that they couldn't make because they just were not prepared, because they thought all they needed to do was marketing and they didn't need to hire a lawyer because they weren't doing litigation. But business by its very definition is a legal structure. And all of the law that goes around and into your business is something that business owners need to be aware of. The third myth, I would say, if I had to pick a third one, would be the role of insurance. And we often think of healthcare insurance. It includes that too. As a business owner, you need to have that. But let's think of insurance in a broader perspective. What happens if you can't work your business? If you get ill, this is the perfect thing, the coronavirus syndrome. For people, God forbid, that will get ill, I'm assuming some percentage of business owners, what happens? They have their health care. They will go and they'll get treated and hopefully they'll come out of this okay. But what about their business? Who was working the business during that time? How about nobody, because they were ill? So therefore, their health is compromised. Their business is compromised because they're not working the business to get the customers in as they would. The revenue decreases drastically. Then now they can't afford to pay some of the bills unless they have a nice amount of savings. Most of us have a, mediocre amount of savings, not as much as we would like. But I can't tell you how many business owners don't have business insurance. And business insurance would give you that money when there is an interruption of the business. The coronavirus would be an easy coronavirus. And whatever that amount is that you agreed to with the insurance carrier, they will send you that check. And insurance plays such a huge role in the success of your business, and no one ever talks about it. It is worth every penny that you pay for the insurance. Why? Because the way the math works is that think of it. For every $1 of insurance you have, you are getting at least 10 times that back. Those are great odds. I would go to any casino with those odds. For every dollar that I put in, I'm going to get 10 times that. Yes. And sometimes it's even 20 times that, depending on the type of policy that you get. So the myth is that the third myth to bust is that you don't need insurance. Yes, you do, because we don't control what happens. And because we don't control what happens, that risk factor can be decreased by having the right insurance policy in place. So those are my top 3 myths that business owners have that we really need to debunk.
I'm sitting here going, oh my goodness, I just learned so much in just learning about 3 myths, and the last one you talked about insurance, because I don't think many people think about business interruption insurance. And if you don't have that legal advice from someone who can lead you, be your guide, you might not be covered in that case. So I thought that was a really good myth to debunk. So we just covered, just like you said, 3 of myths, and I'm sure there are more. But
much more.
I know that people want to know, that they're like, wow, my mind has just been blown. So Dr. Lydie, what should people be doing with their money so that they have a legacy beyond themselves?
Yeah. What they should be doing is investing the right way. And investing in Wall Street is not the right way. I have been a Wall Street advisor for many years. I was a financial regulator on Wall Street for many more years. And I've seen both sides of it. And I can tell you this, unless you have a really good investment advisor, and Schwab is not your investment advisor, right? That is where you put your money in. They are not your investment advisor. It's hard to gauge the market. Look at what the market is down now. I've been telling people since the fall there was going to be a correction, right, in the market. And people we can never time it, but there's signs to look at. The statistics are that since 1956, we've had a market correction, we might call it a crash, every 6 to 7 years. And it takes us about 9 years once you've lost that money in the market to recover, to get you back to where you were. That's not growth. That's just a recovery, right? So let's look at the math. Every 6 to 7 years is a market correction. It takes you 9 years to recover. So that means while you're in the process of recovering, there's another correction. And we wonder why we don't all retire wealthy, because we have our IRAs in place. For those of us that work full-time positions and have the option of a 401k or 403b, you're contributing. Well, why aren't you all retiring as millionaires when you retire? Because your money is being lost and it's recovering and it's growing a little bit and then it's losing. The best thing to do is stay out of the market. But what do you do if you're out of the market and you want to grow your wealth? Well, there are a lot of insurance products that give you the upside of the market and none of the downside, none of the crash. Why is that? Well, they use a different part of the Internal Revenue Code, one that says there'll be no losses in your account. The other one that says you will never be taxed on the money that grows in your account. We are always taxed on our capital gains. That is the money that you make in the market. And it could range anywhere from 35 to 40%, depending on the type of investment contract that you have. So why lose that to taxes? That's usually the amount of the gain that you had anyway, which gets you down to very little in growth. So we've got to rethink about how we invest, because part of being a business owner, in addition to running a business, is having investments that are never at risk. Because you don't know when you're going to be at risk. When your business is at risk or when your health is at risk, you need to have that investment at all times. There's only one industry that guarantees your money will always be there. That's the insurance industry. And that is what the wealthy use. There's many different types of products. But the key for us as small business owners is to know the real wealth in terms of how you grow it to transfer it to your loved ones, is that the money's got to be there. And the money has got to be able to grow without consistently every 6 or 7 years going through a market correction. So you've got to put it in a safe, dare I say, conservative vehicle that maintains and grows throughout any market situation. That's how you build it. That's how you pass it on.
Wow. So again, I'm sitting here going, it sounds like it's really important. So in the beginning, I talked about that you talk about how you help people to protect your assets using the power of the law, increase profits with tax savings, and you just talked a little bit about how to build wealth with insurance. I mean, you didn't expand on that, but those are three powerful strategies that you're talking about: using the power of the law, protecting your assets, and the tax savings. And you just mentioned how much people tax, and at one point in our history, some of our tax rates were almost like 90%.
Oh, yeah.
I was doing a little research and I was just shocked because we're actually paying lower taxes today than we were in the past in certain aspects.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about these three powerful strategies and maybe give some examples for each one?
So these strategies, I love that you did the research and realized that we were in the U.S. at one point paying as much as 90% in our income taxes. We forget that, one, because we didn't live through it for most of us for as long as we've been alive, that there's been like these three sort of tiered tax rates, and most of us tend to be around the 28, 30, 35, some of us 39%. The thought that 90% of the money that you make in your business would go to taxes is mind-boggling to us. But here's the even more difficult news. We are in a position right now in the US that the tax rate has to increase. It's just a matter of math, right? The government cannot continue to operate the way that it has with the tax rates being so low. We are at the lowest tax rate in American history. You can go back 100 years. We're at the absolute lowest. And there's so much wealth being created in the US. So the tax rate is going to have to increase. So when I talk about that, it scares a lot of people, but that's okay. Knowledge is power. So if you know it's going to increase, then what should we do in terms of designing your business to take advantage of perhaps the three concepts to protect you when that tax rate begins to increase? Number one, owning a small business in America, actually owning it, is the best thing that you could do with regard to potential tax increases. Why is that? Well, the tax code was really written for business owners, and people often don't understand that. There is so much you can deduct as a business owner. And here's a little piece of trivia. All of the founding fathers of the United States, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, didn't work for other people. They were not employees. They were all small business owners, some larger than others, but still small business owners. They began the first draft of the bankruptcy code. They began the first draft of what we call our taxes, our tax code. Why is that? Well, as business owners, they wanted to keep as much as they could, which is the exact situation that everyone wants, right? So the tax code is really written to, in a way, benefit small business owners. The amount of things you can deduct, the amount of things that you receive credit for doing, the amount that you can legally decrease your liability as much as you can to pay the minimum is actually allowed in the tax code. As an employee, you don't have that advantage. As a business owner that's not using these strategies in your business, you're actually decreasing your profits. Why is that? Because you have so much you can deduct that you're not. So you're paying much more than you actually could. And there's certain things that you could do to receive credits, meaning things that you do in your business that the tax code loves. They love it when you hire employees. Think about that. You can create a job for someone else. And not only will you be helping another individual, you're actually going to get a tax credit for that. You can actually, as a business owner, if you have employees, give health insurance to your employees and you get a deduction for that. So there's so many incentives built in. Taxes becomes a key factor in terms of building your business. The other is insurance, and we talked about that a little bit, so I won't go into as much detail, but having a business owner's policy not only covers you when there's a disruption in your business, it also covers you when someone decides to, I don't know, sue you because they think you did something wrong. And that whole litigation of hiring a litigation attorney and going through that uncomfortable process of someone, oh my God, is suing me, it's good to know that your insurance is going to step in and cover that for you. The third thing that I would say in terms of making the business more successful is learning the ability to use trust. Trust in terms of, yes, I trust you, but trust also in terms of the legal concept of a trust. We often recognize wills, and wills and trusts are totally different things. They do similar things, but they're different things. The will is where you say, I want Ms. Tammy to get my recording equipment because she's such a great podcaster, such absolutely excellent. I've got this fabulous microphone. I want her to have it. Your trust is where you put assets of value, anything with a title, your house, your business, things that you have a trademark on. Why is that? Because a will go through probate. That's a judge sitting in a court that decides, I know you said the will said this, but does anyone disagree in the family? And now people are fighting, as we know, oftentimes when people pass away, the family handles it as best as they can, but there will always be a few that want something perhaps that they were expecting to receive and perhaps didn't, whatever that is. And that creates the tension and that creates the fight. All of that winds up in front of a judge and nothing happens until the judge resolves it. That's a will. We don't want our families to be there. A trust resolves all of that because it never goes to court. It's a private contract that lays out everything, who's going to get what, but more importantly, the assets are protected. So for us, when I look at the growth and success of a small business, it's not only the customers coming through the door, it's not how much you're making, it's how much you're retaining. What are the benefits the tax law can give to you? What are the benefits the law can do to protect you? And when we talk about creating a legacy and passing it on, all of those assets are placed in a trust. It's almost like a force field, if you will. And that force field, nothing penetrates it. Not even the law, as long as it was done properly. The only time the law will break apart a trust is what we call a fraudulent transfer, which means that you intentionally put something in there that you knew should not have been in there, that was either pledged or promised to someone else, or you knew the court was going to issue an order against you and you quickly put this trust together. That's not what we do. As small businesses, we're trying to be successful so we live well and our loved ones live well. So the trust becomes this really protective shield to put all of your assets in. So for me, those are the three key things that I think every business owner not only needs to consider, but at some point very soon needs to begin doing, especially as our economy is changing. And it's going to get more and more difficult to keep what you have. Here are some measures that will help you do that.
And I know there's many, many more, but I think that, you've really touched on, I think you would call it the power of three. The concepts are very needed. People need to understand. Many of us have heard about trusts, but we don't really understand how could the average small business person use that? And I think you explained that very well. The same thing with business insurance or insurance in general. And then, of course, the different types of assets. So I understand that you have a free gift for our listeners. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe how people can reach out to you?
Yes, yes, yes. I designed what I call copy that. I love it when the first responders, or I work with a lot of first responders, and I love when they say copy that. And it's really a copyright primer. And most of us understand copyright. It's not a difficult concept, but it's a kind of as most law is, it's kind of a tricky sort of segueing type of concept. And the reason it's not as straightforward as we may think is because it depends on the situation, right? But the basic concept is anything that you create is yours from the moment you create it until someone tries to take it from you. Then how do you enforce that, right? How do you actually protect that? What have you done to set up a structure beyond the creation, right, to protect what is yours? And we don't often think about that, right? We're very creative. Americans are very creative people. Think of all the songs, the plays, the movies, the music, the engineering that happens. We're very creative people. We don't think about the concept of someone would actually try to borrow or take what we have. That's what I do as a business lawyer, because I've seen it happen so often. And they're not bad people that do it. They're people that want to expedite what they're doing, right? It's working for you. They want to flip it just a little bit to make it work for them. Well, that's still taking what you spent a lot of time creating. So I created a little copyright primer. Yes, it is true that the moment you create it, it is yours, but protecting it doesn't begin at that point. There's further steps to take. So it goes through what those steps may be. It goes through what's the type of things that fall under copyright. And I tell this to all my clients, and I'm going to share it with the group here, so the listeners here. The easiest way, and in terms of enforcing your copyright, is to actually file it with the U.S. Copyright Office. It's about $50, and you can upload as many as 5 PDFs. So don't pay a lawyer to copyright your product. Go to the U.S. Copyright Office, and you can upload the 5 files there for about $50, maybe $60 at the most. So I put together a little free gift called the Copyright Primer, and it's designed to walk you through from idea to full protection of your copyright. And you can have that little primer by sending me an email. And my office email is my name, Lydie, Lydie, at drlydie.com. And I look forward to sharing that with as many people that are interested in protecting their ideas, protecting their formulas, protecting their songs. It's not a difficult process. You just need to know the steps to take to do it.
I think it's really important, especially in the world today, with a lot of people in the next months will be going online to create businesses, and they'll be creating a lot of intellectual property. There'll be courses, just like what songs, and we all have heard about the different lawsuits over musical arrangement notes or the words of things. So I really actually think, when I first heard that, I'm going, I wonder how that would apply to the average business person. But after you explained it, I'm saying, oh my goodness, this applies to every business person, because we all have things that we create, that we share in the world. We have our systems, we have maybe our blogs, our white papers, our books, whatever. That is a phenomenal free gift. And so thank you so much.
My pleasure. I tried to add value. I think a gift should be a worthwhile gift.
That is very valuable, because many people that, they've heard, it's mine as soon as I create it.
It's true.
At the same time, how do you protect it? And I think, for $50 or $60, and you can send 5 items to the Copyright Office, and there you go. You've got your protection, so that if anything did happen, you'd say, well, the Copyright Office has my stuff. Let's check it out. And of course, you could knock whoever that person is down without ever going into the expense of lawsuit part, because you just have the evidence of the government. So thank you for.
It was my pleasure, Ms. Tammy. I love what you're doing. I love the information that you're getting out into the world. We need more conscious individuals like you that are giving a platform for people to share real information with business owners.
Well, thank you. And everyone, you can connect pretty much on nearly any social media platform with Dr. Lydie if you know Dr. Lydie Louis. And Louis, by the way, is spelled Louis, and Lydie, it's Lydie. So it's DrLydieLouis. And of course, all those hot links will be in the show notes, so that you can just click and go find her. Before I let you go, do you have any last advice for our listeners?
I think that this time that we're in now with the coronavirus, as sad a time as it is for us, because we're uncomfortable in things that we're uncomfortable about. That's just who we are as human beings. But we can also see this as an opportunity to focus in on our business. What is it that we need to tweak? What do we need to revamp? What is it that we need to create and protect during this time, so when the ban is lifted and we're back to business in America, that you're ready to go? So take this as the reprieve that we probably each sorely needed to kind of revamp what we're doing, to redesign what we're doing, to reach out to the experts that can be a part of your team. And I consider myself a part of every business owner's team. I'm not some outside person that they hired. I come in, I look around, I talk to you, we have honest conversations. And we build to protect, and as I call it, build it to last, right? Because it's not this one generation a la us. It's the kids, the grandkids, the great-grandkids that we may never meet, but they're going to say, wow, Grandma, Grandpa set this up for us. What a gift that is. What a blessing that is. So take this time to be creative and remain positive, because this too shall pass. And when it does, you want to be revved up and raring to go to be the most successful that you've ever been.
Well, that is one thing for sure. Right now, everyone should be building their foundations. And it's funny, I was just thinking, we're talking about building your solid foundation, and Dr. Lydie Louis is the business legacy architect. So that is really,
I love it.
I lost my word. But that is just the way that we should be looking at this as we're building our foundation. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well, Ms. Tammy. Thank you.
Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.